Welcome to the first of 4 modules covering visual management. Many of you are on a lean continuous improvement journey, some just starting, some well along. As you may know, lean is based on 2 pillars. One, the identification and elimination of waste, and secondly, the full utilization of human talent, or what we call high respect for people. That is, building processes to expose waste and creating people who are willing and able to eliminate that waste. This is where visual management comes in. It's the intersection of the 2, the elimination of waste and utilization of human talent. If we as managers really want our people to be successful, we need to have them find problems and make improvements. And if we want them to find problems and make improvements, we have an obligation to provide them with the means to do so. The best way to do that is visual management. Visual management makes it easier to see problems, easier to solve problems, and easier to learn from mistakes. 90% of the information transmitted to our brains is visual, and we process visual information 60,000 times faster than text. In fact, 83% of all learning is visual. So we'd be quite foolish not to take advantage of these natural facts. Change does not take place through edicts on the wall. Change takes place through everyday conversations in the workplace, in the office, on the floor. And visual management is designed to initiate, provoke, and drive those conversations. Today we want to cover the first of 4 modules, covering why visual management is a necessary condition for operational excellence, and then cover a 9-element framework for deployment. Let's start with why visual management. What is the business case to improve your performance? We're using lean, continuous improvement, to enhance the customer experience, to fulfill customer demand, and enhance customer value in terms of time, cost, and quality. And to do so, we need to solve any disruptions in the flow of a process that provides that value to solve problems. You might want to ask, how does your organization identify and solve problems? Because the answer is fundamental to learning and making improvements. Visual management is about creating a problem-solving culture by learning and adapting continuously. Therefore, lean continuous improvement and visual management is about building a problem-solving culture where waste or disruptions to the flow of value to the customer are made visible to the people who are capable and willing to solve them. All visual management elements are designed to help the operators, the employees, understand and improve the process, designed to help them solve as defined problems as defined as disruptions to flow of the value to the customer. As such, all visual management is employee-centric. Subsequent models will cover things like optimizing your workflow, which means each and every employee can see the flow of value to the customer and fix it when it breaks before it reaches the customer. We'll then move on to exposing waste, meaning making the operation so visible that every employee can know if the condition is normal or abnormal. And then we'll talk about creating standard work to allow for course correction when abnormal conditions do arise. Again, providing a problem-solving capability when things go wrong, leading finally to building a continuous learning environment, a self-healing system of learning and adapting without management intervention. Now you have an embedded continuous improvement infrastructure in your administrative center, in your factory, your laboratory, your distribution center, your back office, even in your call center or your healthcare unit. Just to confirm what visual management is, we need to create a vision of where we're going. And I look at it as 5 distinct objectives. Number 1 is safety, or looking at our processes through ergonomic eyes first and foremost. We want to build an environment where there's no bending or stretching, or poor lighting and no injuries. Secondly, we want to look at throughput, more through the process pipe and out the back door. Not, of course, by hammering faster, but by eliminating the searching for the nails and right-sizing the hammer, etc. We don't want any wandering, no searching. Everything needs to be in a proper place to do the proper job and be near at hand, where you left it in its proper designated place. Our third objective is to reduce the time from the customer request to fulfillment until we complete and deliver the product or service to the customer. We want no waiting for materials or parts, no waiting for tools or information, no delays. We want our paperwork on time, and we want no obstacles or detours that we have to maneuver around to get to racks or get to workstations or get to equipment that we need, or even to get to people we need to talk to. Fourth is productivity. We want to get that throughput and that time reduction with the same assets, the same resource base. We want to do that by standardizing our procedures, making them visually displayed, accurate, complete, and visible. And finally, operating expense. We want what I call no red ink waste. We want that waste to be identified before it accumulates. We want no extras, just what is lean, elegant, and essential. And finally, and perhaps most important, these 5 success factors are in deliberate sequence. Always safety first and always expense last. Cutting costs first will jeopardize the rest of our objectives by eliminating the very resources we require to create and build our visual management problem-solving infrastructure. The visual management framework that we'll be working through throughout the 4 modules is based on 3 major themes, each broken down into 3 minor themes. First, workplace structure refers to the arrangement of the physical environment to represent the way we want to work. It identifies where tools, equipment, processes, and departments are located. Secondly, process improvement is about the exposure of problems, things that get in the way of work, disruptions to the flow of value to the customer, or the next person or operation in the process. Properly made visual, a visitor should be able to determine if a process that he's looking at is on time to performance requirements without asking any questions, without requesting any reports, or looking at any computer printouts. And our third major theme is employee engagement, which is about problem solving. It's about employees taking the initiative to solve problems that provide value to the customer and prosperity to the organization. It's about giving employees clear responsibility and ownership to create and propose countermeasures to problems they, the employees, own, problems made visible through visual management. I want to make one last point here before we move on. Each visual element of the visual management framework must have a clear and specific purpose. It must have an owner, it must have users, and it must have rules for engagement, both for how we use it and at what cadence or pace we use it. Let's start with workplace structure. Workplace structure is arranging the physical structure in the way we want to work, and it has 3 sub-elements. The first one is navigation. Navigation is about position and direction, minimizing waste of motion, waste of conveyance, and waste of transportation. The second sub-theme, presence, is about who you are and what you do. This is our house. This is our mission, our values, our roles. These are the products and service we provide, and we're very proud of it. The third sub-element is organization, which is about building an understanding among the operators and employees in the area about how they want to work, reaching high agreement on how they want to organize their workplace. It's about a place for everything and everything in its place. It's arranged exactly as advertised, minimizing searching and minimizing things like stockouts. It's what many of you who sought to do or have done with the classic 5S programs of the Toyota production system. The first S, SIRI, is to sort things, needed to not needed. CISO is to simplify or make a place for everything that's remaining, sometimes called straightening or setting in order. CETAN, which means to shine or sweep, or sometimes called systematic cleaning, and Seikitsu is to standardize our environment. And the last S is Shitsutsuki, which is to sustain. The key is to understand this workplace structure or 5S framework, not as housekeeping, but as discipline, as high agreement among us who live in the area as to how we want to operate here in our house. Let's go to navigation. Navigation, I want you to think about GPS. Think about road signs and walkways and signage and lighting and labels. Think about floor markings and mostly think about pictorials. Navigation is about providing directions and instructions to help us find our way. It's information that warns us about dangerous conditions or liabilities. It's often classified in symbols or shapes and in colors. Think of the classical and universal 8-sided stop sign with white letters and red backgrounds. Think of the orange coffee pot in your coffee room designated for decaffeinated coffee. Think of the skull and crossbones warning of danger. The second segment of workplace structure is presence. These visual management aids announce who we are, what we're doing in this area, when and where we get our material and our information, and where we send it on to. It's about what products and services we provide, who our customers are, what our values are, and what our roles are. It's often designed with skills matrices, accountability boards, and other types of communication boards that we'll be talking about in subsequent modules. The last part of workplace structure is organization. This is about building what I refer to as an intelligent floor, separating the needed from the not needed, putting a place for everything and everything in its place. Mostly we walk on stupid floors and through stupid offices, but intelligent floors and intelligent offices are filled with information indicating where everything is or ought to be. It makes visible the normal from the abnormal. Everything you need to do a proper job should be near at hand where you left it, and where you left it is its proper designated place. There is no ambiguity here. It's binary. It is either there or it isn't. This is table stakes for visual management. If you cannot create this simple discipline inside your organization, your visual management journey, your lean continuous improvement journey is going to be some tough slogging. In this picture on the left, we see a simple red, amber, green, or RAG system indicating the status of the required shipping materials. Green means fine, yellow nearing an order point, and green is a firm order point in which we need to go and move right away to order something. And on the right, we see a classic shadow board telling not only what tools are required, but just as important, what tools are not there. Process improvement is about the identification and elimination of waste. This is the core element of visual management. It's seeing the process and its status at a glance. It's about sharing information across the process. Is the condition normal or is the condition abnormal? And if it's abnormal, what is the waste specifically causing the disruption to flow? Is it waste of complexity or labor, waste of overprocessing, waste of overproduction? Is it waste of inventory or waste of storage, waste of space, waste of policy? Is it waste of defects or waste of material? Is it waste of idle time or waiting, or maybe it's waste of conveyance or transportation? In each case, we should be able to determine the cause of the waste and therefore act on mitigating or eliminating it. Is it a trend? Is there a need for corrective action? Ultimately, process improvement provides the standard work required for self-correcting by employees without constant management or supervisory intervention, and it avoids repeated inquiries. Again, there are three subsets of process improvement. Identify the process and the process standard, that is, identify the normal condition. Document and make visible the normal condition, including teaching the standard. And then measure the variances from the standard or the abnormalities. What type are they? What frequency are they? And what severity are they? This is all about setting the standard and exposing deviations from the standard so that it can be problem solved with a problem-solving framework like scientific method or plan, do, check, act. We're building a visual self-diagnostic capability with the process improvement theme. Let's start with identification of the process. The process, you might imagine, has 4 discrete resource elements. It has people, it has materials, it has information, and it has equipment or facilities. We covered the equipment and facilities in the workplace structure by arranging the workplace in the way we wanted it. Here, we're looking at information and material flow. We're looking to make visible the status of all the materials and information required to do our job and design it best to accommodate labor's needs. On the left side, you see the same RAG, red, amber, green color system for the status of information, specifically work orders and drawings, while the right side is a visual aid communicating the status of corrugated packing material. And again, in subsequent modules, we'll dig deeper into these visual management artifacts. The documentation of the process is there so we're able to teach the standard. There can be no standard if it's not taught. Work instructions, for example, establish precise procedures for each employee's work. Standard work is established and displayed so as to reduce variability, to train new operators, and create a baseline for problem solving and improvement activities. And most important, to reduce injuries and strain. Remember, we're always looking at our visual management application through ergonomic or safety eyes first. In this slide, the picture on the left provides some visual work instructions, including the sequence of operations and time requirements to meet the customer demand, often referred to as tact time by our lean brethren. And the right side is a set of workplace color standards. Standard work, remember, has 4 elements: document, teach, monitor, and improve. And we'll talk about these in Module 3. The last part of process improvement, or the third sub-theme, is the measurement of the process. In order to improve a process, we need to measure performance against the standard. The purpose of measures in visual management is to assist the operator in understanding and improving the process. It has no other purpose. Measurement is looking at variations from the standard and should lead to action across the process. Measures in visual management are fundamentally navigational in nature. They lead to problem solving. They're not meant to be evaluative. They're not good or bad. They're leading us to a place where we can solve the problem or remove the waste. Remember, the measures, like all visual management elements, are employee-centric. They are for the employee's benefit. And thirdly, employee engagement. We want to talk about employee engagement as the third theme, which is about respect for people. It's about the conviction that employees have the right to be successful every time they do their job. And it's about never wasting an operator's time needlessly. The art of doing their job is finding problems and making improvements. Visual management provides them, the employees and the operators, a means to do so, to have clear responsibility and ownership to create and propose countermeasures, even solutions, to the problems that they own, problems revealed through visual management. And again, there are 3 sub-elements to employee engagement. One is ownership. All visual management installations are designed and owned by the users, the employees working in the area. Problem solving means that once waste or variances or disruptions to flow are exposed, employees must be willing and able to solve those problems, or more specifically, recommend or install countermeasures to them. And thirdly, communications assures all resources in the process are pulling together in the same direction. They're working in unison to provide value for the customer and prosperity for the company. Let's start with ownership, which is about real-time problem solving. People who do the job know how to solve problems relating to that job best. Let them own the problems. Give them clear responsibility for providing countermeasures to problems they own. If you tell them what to do, you take ownership and responsibility away. Expect and demand that they take initiative and own their process by putting the information, skills, and authority in the people themselves. Give them clear objectives and leave them be. Visual management allows for this as it provides balance between firm direction and need for adaptability, between control and flexibility. Problem solving, the second part of employee engagement, says that once waste is exposed, employees need problem-solving techniques to resolve. Things like 5 Whys, flip chart management, A3s, Kaizen, huddles, obeyas, hajunkas, standard work, scorecards, accountability descriptions. All these things are problem-solving tools and techniques grounded in visual management and designed for those who live in the process to use. On the left, you see an engineering department using a hajunka or visual scheduling board to assure timely flow of their workload. And on the right, a gentleman is solving for the elimination of waste incurred in searching and wandering about looking for tools needed to do the job. Communications is at the heart and soul of all visual management, because visual management is as much a social reality as a technical one. The tools and techniques of visual management are secondary to the discussions that they cause. The communications, the dialogue, and the discussions are triggered around the workplace issues as revealed and recorded in the visual management tools. Communications incites action and leads to problem solving. On the left, in a factory setting, and on the right, in an office setting, daily discussions are taking place about the process, and the visual tools are put in place to update and monitor those discussions and to expect results from them. Communication means go see. It means ask why, and it means show respect. Let's look at some applications. If you want to start right away, I suggest you start through select an area and walk through the area to see how much visual management is already in place. Look for exit signs, hazard material warnings, and safety standards. Look for baseline exits, for example. The fundamental beginning of visual management exists. And more importantly, when you do this walkthrough, for every visual management you see, for every material warning sign, for every exit sign, for every safety standard, look for ones that you don't see. This allows you to immediately double the amount of visual management that's on your floor. Let's finish up this first module with a few simple examples of applications. On the left, the before condition, you see a workplace not arranged according how do we want to work. Well, on the right, it's in a more user-friendly state. The not needed stuff has been removed, and the remaining stuff has been given a home through some simple labeling. It's a start, but certainly no indication it will be sustained. This is a state that I see many environments, work environments. They have started to do some housekeeping, but the sustaining becomes the difficult part. Perhaps you've attempted this type of housekeeping at some point in your journey. We need to progress from this point, though. In this particular picture, we've progressed from just a workplace organization to a process improvement. The extrusions after visual management on the right are now placed in designated proper locations. They're sorted by length, which we can visually see. If we can see if they are or are not on the rack. And also we can see if there's the right amount on the rack or if there's too many. The tags at the end of each level of the rack provide information on what these products are or what these parts are. and provide natural signals for reordering them when and how much is needed. Again, it's all visual. Again, remember, each visual article needs a clear and specific purpose. Its owners and users must be trained on how to use each of the visual management artifacts. In this particular picture, we want to illustrate that each visual management piece implemented should be designed to identify and remove waste. Again, a clear and specific purpose. In this case, the before situation on the left was illustration of polybags used for packaging large final assemblies not being available, hard to find, being the wrong size, being stocked out, requiring excessive searching, and providing excessive product waste, etc. The after situation shows specific labels indicating the size and type of packaging in the locations. And further, the flags indicate the need for replenishment, red, or not replenishment, green. The material handler checks this visual signal on twice daily milk runs through the areas. And the shippers who are packaging the final goods make sure the proper color flag is flying when the handler does arrive. Here's another interesting use of visual management. These safety hazard sheets are collected together in a single thick binder on the left, taking some time, obviously, to search through when required, looking for the right material safety hazard sheet, a waste of searching. The Visual Management Board has applied the lessons of Pareto to determine that the 10 sheets that make up 90% of the area's requirements have been identified and posted for quick and ready access. Think of this as a shadow board for information instead of a shadow board for tools. No more rummaging through the toolbox, or in this case, the data sheet binder. Here we have a workplace, navigational visual elements, floor markings to allow for the elimination of detours and obstacles, allowing operators to take a straight shot to where they want to go. No more putting stuff wherever there is space, no more blocking access to required materials, etc. Again, an example of a smart floor filled with information as to where everything should be, where everything should go, and what should not go in that area. In summary, workplace structure is about the arranging the physical environment in the way we want to work. Process improvement is creating visual management to expose waste, and employee engagement is creating people who are willing to own, willing to eliminate that waste as it occurs. Always keep in mind the ultimate objective, performance improvement in the order of safety, throughput, cycle time, or inventory, productivity, and operating expense. In our next module, we'll look at visual management as a method to optimize the workflow to fulfill customer demand. We'll look at visual management to begin to identify and remove disruptions to that flow. One final note. It is critical that all the hardware required to translate the thoughtware of visual management we are sharing in these modules is readily available for employees when they want to create a visual management piece. When an employee has an idea on what and how a visual management tool or technique will enhance performance, that implementation needs to be immediate. We don't have time to wait and search and order the appropriate materials. And so having a house sign shop like this one offered by Rhonda's Visual Workplace is a necessary starting point. I want to thank you, and I'll now turn it back to Rhonda to field any questions.